Hey guys, welcome to At Home Fitness with Coach A. I am Coach A, and this is the YouTube channel that aims to bring you guys in gym quality coaching and workouts for your at home and garage gym needs. It is day number 177 of our daily free programming, aka Tuesday, September 8th. And it is a beautifully overcast day here in Cleveland, Ohio, which is pretty much probably going to be the norm from this point forward for the next couple months. Uh, as always, if anybody needs personal coaching, nutrition help, any kind of custom programming for your partial at-home garage gyms or equipment list, always feel free to reach out. Happy to help with those kind of things. We are closely approaching day number 200. And as we've kind of marked here day, different milestones with day number 100, 150, etc. I'd like to add something to the daily workouts, try and bring something up to date a little bit more, maybe improve the technology, something along those lines. So if anybody has any ideas or suggestions, feel free to reach out or post them in a comment below on the YouTube page and let me know. Any ideas welcome. Happy to listen and see what I can do to make this daily free workout better for you guys. So without further ado, let's get to what we have today. Also, actually real quick, I'd like to hear from you guys if you did yesterday's strength piece, the kneeling work, so to speak. Let me know how that went. If you had any issues with the movements, if you found a way to maybe make it a little easier in the knees, if that was a problem, whatever. Let me know how those kneeling movements went. Anxious to hear if that's something we should continue with, if you guys felt like you got something out of that, or if you felt like it was too hard to match the weight up for those movements. Now let's get to Tuesday stuff. So we're going to be working in 4-minute pieces today with 2 minutes of rest. Each 4-minute piece, there's going to be 4 of them, is going to have a work completion component, meaning if you get the work done in less than 4 minutes, which it's programmed for you to do, you should be able to rest the rest of the 4 minutes before even the 2-minute programmed rest before the next 4-minute piece. So I'm going to explain the first piece, and all 4 of these are going to be functioning the same. So I will walk you through the first one and then tell you what the movements are on the next ones. All right, so you're going to have 4 minutes in a window to complete a 400-meter run. Speed is your call. Pace is your call. Once you're done with that, though, in the rest of the time, the rest of that 4 minutes, you have to finish 30 barbell deadlifts. The weight is 135.95. This is not supposed to be a heavy weight. This possibly could even be the kind of weight that those of you gutlins for punishment out there could really go for 30 unbroken with. All right, I'm not saying I'm looking for that. I'm not saying you should be doing that when it comes to choosing your weight, but this is kind of a warm up for heavy lifting deadlift sets type weight. All right, so at the very least, we should probably be capable of 10, 10, 10. Now, if you end up dropping that bar because your legs are smoking, your hamstrings are on fire, that's fine. That's a completely different thing here. But we should be capable of 10, 10, 10 within the context of about 2 minutes with that barbell weight. So if we aren't, I want you to scale that 135.95 down. If we don't have barbells, stick around. As we always do at the end of the video, I will walk through the modifications for these movements. Now, once you guys complete the 30 barbell deadlifts, if it's done in less than 4 minutes, as I said, you can rest whatever time is left in that 4-minute window. However, once that 4 minutes finishes, you have to take a 2-minute rest, okay? So theoretically, this could end up being with a 2-minute run and a 1-minute deadlift time for those 30 reps, about 3 minutes of work and 3 minutes of rest, because you take that last minute of work in the window and turn it into rest, therefore the rest becomes 3. All right, so 4 and 2. Now, when you start your next 4-minute work window after the 2-minute rest, the concept and setup is going to be the same. Even the reps will be the same going all the way through. 30 again. This time we're doing front squats. This time the weight's coming down. Okay, so 115.75 is going to be that front squat weight. You can change it based on the perception of how hard this is supposed to be, but really what I'm looking for here is for you guys to set the barbell weight for the first one on the deadlift based on what I want that difficulty to be at, and then cut it down for these next couple pieces. So ideally, the front squats kind of function the same with the discomfort level or the resistance level, so to speak, in terms of the weight. but that is up to you. As long as it is lighter than the deadlift and there is a progression here that you're going to see, I'm good with the weight. Again, 4 work, 2 rest. If we have rest in the 4, then that goes into the 2, makes it maybe a 3-minute on, 3-minute off. The third piece is going to be the 400-meter run, and then 30 hang power cleans with the barbell. The weight will come down again to 95-65. So those deadlifts, it was 135-95. The front squats, 115-80. And now the hang power cleans are 95-65. This is a little different animal because it's not just a hinging or squatting movement. Now we're talking about something a little bit more dynamic and explosive. So this might get in your way a little bit. Okay, if this means you got to put the bar down a bunch of times because you're losing your grip, that's fine. I don't really care what the context is as long as it is lighter than the other 2 and you're able to get it done, somewhere in the range of completing all those pieces 3 to 4 minutes. Now, after our 2-minute rest, our last piece, our 4th round and last piece is going to be that 400-meter run, followed by 30 burpees to finish. Let's get away from the barbell. Let's light the heart up a little bit, make yourself breathe pretty hard, and force you guys to really sprint to the finish. As always, if you have any questions, let me know. Happy to help. Otherwise, stick around. I will demonstrate the workout that I just explained, specifically the movements other than the running. I will also talk about modifications for those movements based on your equipment needs at home and talk about modifications for the 400-meter run if you guys have a rower or some sort of bike. So we're talking movement for today's workout. We have that 400-meter run on each piece. Keep in mind, if you're going to stay with the run, but you guys don't know what distance is going to be, we can estimate that based off time. For example, if I know I have a 2-minute 400-meter run once I really get into a workout, so it's basically going to average out to that, then I can always take the watch, run for a minute going out, turn around, add a minute, and come back. Okay, obviously, that takes away some of the ability to push myself faster and give myself more time or take away, which is fine if that's not going to be your strategy anyway. Ideally, what I would prefer your strategy would be on this is to keep that run as close to the same thing for all 4 rounds as possible, right? So if that needs to be an 80% effort, if that needs to be an 85% effort, whatever you think you can specifically sustain, that's what I want you guys to go with, okay? Once you get back in the gym or back in the house or back in the garage gym and you're doing your barbell or burpee movements, that's where I really want you guys to push, okay? Take that as maybe now I've gotten into the gym at 2 minutes, all right? I have a minute to push really hard to try and get this work done so I can give myself that extra minute rest, okay? So the 3 different barbell movements we're looking at, we have the barbell deadlift, which is just the simple hinge, lift through from there. Things I want you to keep in mind, don't let the feet get too wide. Remember, whenever we're running and deadlifting, that run is going to be a forward lean, ideally on the balls of the feet. So when we come in and start picking up the bar on a deadlift, we're probably going to want to be falling forward towards that bar. At the very least, the bar is going to want to pull us forward, okay? So we want to make sure when we get our setup, we're really loading back into the backside of the foot, keeping it 50-50, nice and connected, but it's not falling 60-40 or 70-30 to the toes. All right, from there, pushing down, using that posterior chain to create our extension. Second movement is going to be the front squats. It's going to be the same kind of thing that you guys are going to have to fight when it comes to doing the squats. The run, specifically the second one, now we're creating a little bit more fatigue in the legs, more fatigue and tension in the ankles, is probably going to want us to let those knees go forward a little bit early. So really work on bracing up, trying to create a good platform, keeping a nice steady breathing pace, and then being able to keep those feet nice and flat as the hips move back first. Third one after that run is going to be those hang power cleans. Remember, this weight should be even lighter than the other 2, so it should be a weight that you guys are theoretically repping out pretty well. Now, where do you have to start in the hang? Doesn't matter to me. It can be just below the knee, it can be at the knee, it can be up in the hip. As long as we're getting that hip extension with the return back down to catch it as the power clean, not the stand up straight up muscle clean, then we're getting the idea out of this, okay? Chances are you're gonna have to break that up because of grip strength and stamina versus hip strength and stamina, okay, which is fine. The idea stays the same, push yourself the best you can. Now, our fourth and final one, once we come in, is going to be those 30 burpees. So remember, we're all the way down, chest, hips on the ground at the bottom. Chest, hips come up, get my feet as close as I can to my hands. From there, I hop and clap. This is a burpee with the chest all the way down. I don't want to see those squat jumps, basically popping back into a plank, coming back up without the bottom range of motion, unless there's an injury or reason why you guys have to cut the shoulder part out of there. All right, stick around if you guys want to see the modifications, dumbbells, kettlebells, bands, all our other.
Stay tuned for movement modifications.
All right, guys, so let's talk modifications if we don't have the barbell. The three pieces we're looking at here are going to be that deadlift, that front squat, and that hang power clean. So what I want you to see from those is hamstring work, quad work, so hamstring in the deadlift and the hinge, quad work in the front squat, and then hip extension, dynamic hip extension work, or at least more aggressive dynamic than the other two, in the hang power clean, okay? So if we don't have dumbbells, kettlebells, bands, like sandbags, we have stuff like that, there's ways to modify this. If I just have a weight vest, I can still technically do my hinging, I can still technically do my squatting, and then my hip extension, right? Weighted something, okay? And that's kind of gonna come into play here with the band a little bit. So with a band, I would probably double loop under the foot for my deadlifts. I would probably single loop, and then really this is up to you guys if you want to go to the back of the shoulders, or if you want to set it on the front of the shoulders for a front squat, or maybe on the back for more of a good morning. And then we're looking at what is probably going to be a sumo deadlift high pull for the hang power clean movement. Theoretically, you guys could also modify this like we would modify a kettlebell swing, which is taking that band, attaching it to something behind me, and creating the hip extension coming through. Now, if we're looking at probably our more traditional modifications, I have 2 dumbbells or 2 kettlebells, in which case I can pretty much run through the same movements that I otherwise would be able to do with the barbell. If we're looking at 2, and we only have the same weight, okay, we're probably gonna end up modifying these in terms of reps instead of in terms of weight. Meaning, if my deadlift has to be the same weight as my hang power clean, then I'm going to do more deadlift reps than front squats, and I'm gonna do more front squat reps than hang power cleans. All right, now, if we're looking at a single piece, so a kettlebell, a couple things I can do here. I can make these unilateral movements, or I can make these bilateral movements just with a single tool, if you will. Meaning, I can always go with a single leg deadlift, in which case we want to obviously even those reps out, right side to left side. I can go with a sumo or an adjusted stance deadlift with it in between the legs. When it comes to the front squat, I can stack it on one side, or I can goblet squat it in the middle. When it comes to the hang power clean, I can obviously do a swinging hang power clean with the kettlebell. I can take it all the way down to the floor, or I could do a kettlebell swing to create my hip extension. Basically, there's a bunch of ideas here. Theoretically, for the dumbbells, it all kind of functions the same. You can still do like a swinging hang movement. You can still do unilateral stuff and all of that. Now, in terms of how long this should take, if the weight is a lot lighter than what you think the resistance would be as programmed for the barbell, 135, 115, 95 for the guys, for example. So let's say I'm looking at 25-pound dumbbells, and that's all I have. I don't care as much if you guys are pushing to give yourself that extra minute rest, because it's not going to take as much out of you in that minute, right? The recovery from that is going to be a little easier. Therefore, you can make yourself work a little harder, maybe even work the full 4 and only get the 2 rest, okay? Now, if we're looking at modifying the cardio piece, give you the numbers here off the board. So we have a 400-meter run. That translates that into, I'm gonna give you guys men's then women's, a 500 or 400-meter row if we have an airdyne something counting on calories, we're looking at 40 or 28 calories. And then if we're looking at a C2, a Concept 2 bike, that's going to be 800 meters.